And hello, good people of the internet. It is I, Tommy Kelly, and this is Adventures in Woo Woo. And I'm going to do another one of those magical item videos that I've stolen from Julian Vane because he asked me to be on it, and I thought it was a good idea. So in the last one, I talked about the Protector coin, which was made by the Brazilian publishers when they released and published the Brazilian Portuguese version of the 47th Grimoire. But for this one, this is probably not going to work too well for the audio only people, but I want to talk about this. I'm not sure how this is going to come out even on the video because of the way the focus is. But this is my wand. This is a wand that I have, I would say, definitely 20 years. Yeah, pretty much bang on 20 years. And I got it when I went to Glastonbury. Glastonbury is probably most well known around the world for the music festival, but the actual town is about 20 miles away or so, I believe, from the field that the festival goes on in. And Glastonbury itself is very, very woo-woo itself. Like every second shop is a bookshop, you know, like a new age bookshop. Everywhere had, when I was there, I'm not sure what it's like, 20 years since I was there, so I'm sure it could be quite different. But it's all geared around kind of, I don't know, woo-woo-ness, I suppose. And like they had all vegetarian food and vegan food and all that long before that was available anywhere else that I had ever been. Anyway, particularly in Ireland, it was definitely not available. So it has the whole kind of, it has the tour there, it has a lovely market, it has a great kind of local town hall where talks were on. And when I was there, incidentally, I just happened to be there for the Goddess Festival. I was there with an ex-girlfriend and her mum, who was one of the druids here in Ireland. And it just so happened to be Stuart Wilde was doing a talk on the same weekend. Wasn't planned, wasn't anything. I just got so excited when I got to Glastonbury and I seen that, and it also came out. It was the same time that his book, The Sixth Sense, came out. The same, so it was all greatness. So I went and finally got to see Stuart Wilde in the flesh. And I've talked about that before on podcasts and stuff. So if you want to check that out, I'll leave the link in the show description. But he actually mentions that whole night in one of his tape series as well. But getting back to my wand. Now, I'm not a huge wand guy, but this is one of the things that I've kept and really treasure. I went down to the first day we went down to the market and I was going to do some busking. And I was stopped from doing the busking because it was basically saying if you're going to do the busking, you have to pay for, you know, an allotment in the area because it's not fair on other traders. And I was just going, it's too much hassle. But I ended up talking to these guys and they were selling wands. And I had picked up this wand. And I was looking at it and didn't get it for some reason. I'm not sure what it was. It's definitely some sort of financial reason. I don't know if I just had money with me or I didn't think I had enough money to cover for the weekend, or I was actually there for 10 days or what. But there's some reason why I didn't get it that in my head it was a financial reason. So I put it back, but that was it. I just thought that's the end of it. That's a pity now because that was a nice wand. I don't think it was tremendously expensive. I don't really know exactly why I didn't get it. But anyway, then a couple of hours later, though, my girlfriend's mum had come back and handed the wand to me and said, we got talking to the guys who were selling wands down at the market, and we were telling them about you and the musics and you were doing it and all this time, and they give me this wand to give to you. Didn't know it was they didn't know that it was me who had been talking to them earlier or anything. It was just two separate interactions, two separate relations or two separate incidences. So I ended up getting the wand anyway, but through a different kind of means, which is very weird and very odd, and I took it as a sign. A couple of years ago, it was green at the bottom, a green hilt, which doesn't matter because this isn't black and white, but it was this kind of material bit was green, and the actual wood was all just normal wood. And I got it into my head to paint it black, and I'm so glad I did. Sometimes when you do things like that, it kind of ruins it, but this made it way more magical for me. And it's felt this is now its final form, whereas up until then it wasn't even its final form. And it's not something I use, and I've never really used it as a magical instrument, but it's definitely totemic, or it has that kind of feel. I'm glad I have it. It feels magical. It feels part of me. It probably is something that I should kind of maybe experiment a bit more with. It feels a bit hokey or a bit too even a bit too woo-woo for me to use it as an actual magical wand. I don't even really, well, I do know, I was going to say I don't really know how magic wands are used, but I do know, like say, you can use it as instead of your pointing fingers in a banishment ritual, or you can, trace things in the air and all this, designate boundaries, you can have like an astral circle around you and stuff. I don't know. But I just find it interesting. I've never wanted another wand, or I never got into a collection of wands or any of that thing after. But one of those things that reminds me of a very awesome time in my life A particular period where I got to meet my like absolute spiritual idol, Stuart Wilde, who stole loads of my cigarettes and was very drunk. He's still the most impressive spiritual energy, whatever, of a person I've ever met in my life. And it got kind of immortalized in one of his recordings, which is equally cool. I didn't know that until years later. And yeah, and I got a wand out of it through kind of, I don't know, odd circumstances or through a coincidence or synchronicity or a different avenue. The same wand. It would have been weird had it like just got a wand, but the exact same wand that I picked up earlier in the day. Interesting. Anyway, that's another of my magical items. I will again put the link to Julian Vane's website, who's doing the My Magical Things series on his YouTube channel. And it's very interesting. He's got some really cool people showing very cool things. So I'll probably do another couple of these until I run out of interesting magical items, and I'll just be showing you books by the end of it. Just, oh, this is a book I got. Which is not quite the same. Although I have been collecting recently, or starting a new collection of CDs, like, you know, who buys CDs? But as magical items, as totems, not to play them, whatever, but as you know, talismans or totems. It's the best word I can come up with. So that, I find that interesting. And I suppose I have done that in the past with books and stuff as well. But anyway, good people of the internet, I'd be very interested to hear about your magical items, or what you find magical, or any kind of sinks or interesting stories that happened to you in how you obtained said magical items, be they CDs, books, magic wands, or anything. I mean, anything can be a magical item. It's the kind of significance that you put on it that makes it magical. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. Be well, and may our best days be ahead.